The big guy's back.
Mr. President, how are you feeling, sir? How are you feeling, sir?
I'm great. I like Connecticut.
How you doing, Joe?
Smoking Joe's keeping the hoax alive, but his team's not feeling it. They're freaking out that Biden's library isn't going to open when he's alive to see it, and may never open. Joe's own donors say they're not giving him a dime. He even lowered his speaking fee, but after all these books came out, no one wants to book him. Here's why.
It is a scandal.
Yes.
It is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he wasn't drinking.
Worse than Watergate was a running joke during the first Trump term, but after Biden, now the joke's on them. If Biden-gate is worse than Watergate, Tapper's one of the plumbers. Jake's confessing to a crime, but won't apologize.
Do you feel that you owe the American people an apology for slightly dropping the ball with this, and not just to Lara Trump?
I feel like I owe the American people an acknowledgement that I wish I had covered the story better.
Why does Tapper sound so lawyered up? I'm not going to apologize, but I'll give an acknowledgement? Maybe he's hearing what we're hearing. The Biden investigation's off to a strong start. Jake's defense? Being stupid isn't a crime.
I think that we need to be skeptical of everything that we are told by people in power. And I mean, that obviously should be the mantra of being a journalist to begin with. If your mother tells you she loves you, get a second source. Right. But we just need to remember that. Like, politicians lie. White Houses lie. Power is an aphrodisiac. And we just need to all remember that and not take at face value anything that we're told.
Jake's been in the business for 3 decades, and now he notices politicians lie. He knew the whole time politicians lie. He just went along with hiding Biden's. But let's just go along with this for argument's sake, okay? Jake just admitted he missed the biggest story of the century. Tapper basically admitted he's blind because Watergate was a secret. There was no video. Reporters had to crack it. Bidengate was on TV every day. Aren't news anchors supposed to know the news before the public? Tapper is saying the public knew the news before he did. Journalists can't be the last ones to know the scandal. That means they're not a journalist. Tapper should resign. If you missed Bidengate or you covered it up, what else did you miss? What else did you cover up? The border? Epstein, the lab leak? Democrats are like the suspect that goes, yep, officer, you got me, I did it, and thinks he's just confessing to a single crime. And there's like a dozen other crimes with his fingerprints all over them that detectives can easily connect to him. Politicians lie, right, Tapper? So the Afghan pullout wasn't Trump's fault. The Democrats probably were just importing new voters over the border. And maybe Trump didn't sleep with Stormy. This is only the beginning. The FBI is opening up an investigation into the cover-ups of the White House cocaine, the DNC pipe bomb, and the Supreme Court abortion leaks. The last 4 years, one big cover-up. Comer told us the other night that he's already subpoenaed Biden aides to come in for depositions, and he'll be issuing subpoenas to Hunter and Dr. Jill, too. Sometimes when you confess to a crime, you feel better. A big weight is taken off your shoulders. Liberal philosopher Sam Harris said, I'd destroy democracy to beat Trump.
Even that is preferable to me and to, I think, many Democrats than having someone who we consider to be genuinely evil, genuinely 100% purposed to serving himself in the office of the presidency. I would rather have a president in a coma where the duties of the presidency are executed by a committee of just normal people.
So the conspiracy that Biden wasn't running the country wasn't a conspiracy. It was their strategy. It's all coming out. Democrats wanted a brain-dead president with a shadow government and campaigned on saving democracy. If Joe had somehow won, unknown Biden handlers would have run the country. They would have controlled the Situation Room while Biden was taking a nap. Unnamed Biden aides say this: Biden just had to win, and then he could disappear for 4 years. He'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. His aides could pick up the slack. And they just told you Trump was Hitler to justify beating him by any means necessary. That means lying to you, arresting him, maybe even shooting him. Because if they covered up Biden, why wouldn't they cover up Butler? This was a shady crew.
But these aides were not even Senate-confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really, I think, comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe, that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things, which I think is what this person is talking about.
To themselves, they never thought Trump was a threat to democracy. He was just a threat to win back the White House. If Trump won, he'd catch him lying and stealing. There's motive. Trump wasn't running on anything radical. Drill, baby, drill. Close the border. Men and women are different. It's common sense. Meanwhile, Democrats are making no sense. Jazzy Crockett says, my president's not brain dead, yours is.
It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally.
The New York Times just reported this: if politicians were animals, Democrats wouldn't last one day in the wild. The paper interviewed over 200 swing state voters, and they said Republicans are apex predators, like lions, tigers, and sharks, beasts that take what they want when they want it. Democrats are typically tagged as tortoises, slugs, or sloths, slow, plodding, passive. They're deer in the headlights. Debbie Diamondhand says, don't call me an animal.
I'm not focused on the animals that some New York Times reporter compares the political parties to. My constituents are human beings. So I'm focused on the humans I represent, not, animal comparisons.
I will tell you, it was the voters who were making the comparison with animals, and this was a focus group. It wasn't the New York Times reporter coming up with these labels. This was a Democratic-led focus group.
Democrats are on a suicide mission just to stop Trump. The Obama pod bros are freaking out that they're on the wrong side of history.
Democrats are in a huge bit of trouble. Like this, it just, there's no way to look at this without recognizing the massive scale of our problems. We are losing ground with the fastest growing parts of the population, younger voters and Latinos. And that is a party that can win an election every once in a while if the stars align correctly. But that is a party that will look a lot like the Democratic Party from the 60s until the 90s.
And
where we maybe can win when Nixon gets impeached and when Nixon resigns, and we win that election, and then we lose for the next 12 years.
Fine wine gets better with age. Not the Biden scandal. Every day it gets worse. Every day. They've just confessed to the biggest scandal in American history. The whole party's got blood on their hands. And now they're telling us their motive and their intent. They called the Trump trial the trial of the century. Well, they're about to go on trial. But this time, the jury is the whole country.
And welcome to Hannity. And in a bizarre moment caught on video, French President Emmanuel Macron's wife appeared to shove him in the face as their plane doors opened in Vietnam. We got more on that straight ahead. Also tonight, the scandal around Joe Biden's cognitive decline and the ensuing cover-up is deepening. Who knew what about his decline? What did they know? When did they know it? How bad was it? And who was really in charge? You deserve answers. And bombshell revelations from Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's new book are showing just how far the Biden administration and people around Joe went to go to hide his decline from the American public. According to the book, one Biden aide admitting the White House staff, quote, acted undemocratically because of their hatred for President Trump, while also telling Thompson and Tapper that several senior political veterans work with Jill and Hunter Biden to run the show. Now, sitting down with Fox News' Shannon Bream on Sunday, Thompson addressed these bombshell revelations. Let's take a look.
These aides were not even Senate confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really I think comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe, that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things.
Wait, didn't Jake Tapper say that Laura Trump was making fun of his stutter? Nobody ever talked about Joe's stutter. In other words, their hatred of President Trump was so strong that they were willing to act undemocratically while also claiming that Trump is a threat to democracy. They did that simultaneously. They felt justified keeping Biden in power because they, not you, we, the people, determined that Trump was a threat to democracy. Their determination only, their power on top of it. Now, one White House reporter telling Fox News Digital that this was, quote, a cover-up by any definition, and one that included both public and private facing dimensions, while a second reporter called out fake news CNN for refusing to cover the story that Tapper has now written about. This level of hypocrisy should be shocking. It should be alarming to every American. This is what I have been telling you. The legacy media is dead. They just don't know it yet. Now, sadly, it's only par for the course from today's left. And while the Biden administration worked to hide his true decline from all of you, they were aided by the legacy media mob themselves, who are now profiting in some cases on it, who showed yet again how truly dishonest they are. They covered up Biden's decline while they claimed ignorance and pretended, they just didn't notice. They said they showed you the real Joe Biden, but they did not. For years, right here on this show, we showed you the real Biden. We were criticized for showing you the real Biden. We showed what was clear and obvious decline. And frankly, the national security risk that came with it, having him in office, in the Oval Office, as, posing to be the president of our country. Anyone that says to you they didn't see it, make no mistake, they're lying to you. And this is worse than Watergate. Yeah, Jake, fake Jake. It's worse than Watergate. This was a clear and present danger to the entire country. Not really funny. Who was in charge? A few unelected Trump haters usurping all presidential authority and the media claiming to not see the obvious? Now, that's beyond a threat to democracy. So these members of the legacy media mob claiming to be fair and balanced and journalists are anything but. We'll talk about Scott Pelley later. And their agenda has now forever been revealed, and they have lost the trust, rightly so, of the American people that ignored them all throughout the 2024 campaign and are ignoring them today. They would rather hide Biden's decline from the American public because they decided that it was better than Donald Trump. And by covering up his cognitive decline, they showed themselves to be the true threat to democracy. Imagine if the roles were reversed and this was President Trump. You would never, ever, ever hear the end of it. Between the Biden cover-up, their morally indefensible ideological stances, it's no wonder people are fleeing the left en masse. So they've come up with a solution to bring young men back to the party that it is already facing, by the way, widespread mockery. They are spending a whopping $20 million on a bizarre American men's study to try and recover their losses from November. This study highlights the core of the left's problem, a never-ending obsession with identity politics. According to reports, one aspect will involve studying the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. Okay, really? You have to learn, hey, bro, how are you? Would you like to get a beer, Joe? Hey, Joe, did you see the game the other night? I mean, what does that mean? Well, also advising, rolling out these pro-democratic ads. They want to put them in video games because young men, they think, play video games, and they would care about the commercial that they're running during their video game, which they will find annoying in all likelihood. But the problems for Democrats are only going to get worse as the party embraces far more infighting ahead of the 2028 nomination. Even The Atlantic is sounding the alarm about the incoming political civil war in the Democratic Party. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, former Chicago Mayor Rahm Deadfish Emanuel, he's back. He called the Democratic Party weak and woke. This is the same guy He served 2 terms as mayor of Chicago. He did not lift a finger to address the never-ending violence in Chicago. Certainly didn't fix it, but now appears to be laying the groundwork for a run in 2028. He is going to run to the center. All right, fair enough, except it does not coincide with the reality of his political life. But the radical left continues to dominate the party. Look at this new poll. Squad member AOC would absolutely trounce Chucky Schumer by 21 points in a New York primary. Run, AOC, run. And right now, the loudest voice in the Democratic Party is Jasmine Crockett. We like Jasmine Crockett on the show because she makes the Democrats look so great and continues to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. Here's what she said following President Trump's speech at West Point. Take a look.
I mean, he literally sounds like someone who is broken out of the insane asylum. Like, he just be all over the place. Like, get him some ADHD medicine, if nothing else, because I don't know where he's ever going to go. It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. We know when it comes down to his criminality, he is not qualified to serve. But this is just absolutely deplorable.
Talk about mental acuity. That's the leader of the new Democratic radicalized party. That party is flailing, but don't worry, Politico has a solution. In a bizarre piece, the outlet is fantasizing about what a left-wing shadow cabinet would look like. Some of the heavy hitters the outlet claims could save the party include, you can't really make this up, Jon Stewart, Giselle Fetterman, Mark Cuban. This is a party that is on life support, and a fake shadow cabinet will do nothing to change the fact that they had a chance to stand up, for example, for women's sports and not allow men to play in women's sports, but they became the champion of men playing women's sports and allowing them in locker rooms. They had a chance to stop the invasion at our southern border. We have, anywhere between 14 and 20 million unvetted Biden-Harris illegals, known terrorists, rapists, murderers, gang members, cartel members. But they chose Kamala Harris, and she wanted to give taxpayer-funded sex change operations to illegals. Her running mate wanted taxpayer-funded college scholarships to illegals. They all covered up for Joe Biden, and the self-inflicted damage the Democratic Party has done to itself, it cannot be undone. Now, while the media mob tries to clean up its role in the Biden cover-up, and the left tries to learn how to talk to men, can you imagine $20 million to learn how to talk to men? We do have some encouraging news to bring you tonight, because it's only been 4 months since President Trump took office. And look at this. The economy is booming. Consumer confidence just made its largest jump in 4 years amid a trade truce with China. Gas prices hit a 4-year low last week ahead of the Memorial Day weekend.
According to the New York Times, the Democrat Party is attempting a rebuild, which is like saying Pompeii needed a little tidying up. But I'd rebuild, too, if I were polling at 27%. That's not even half of Jasmine Crockett's IQ. So what does their grand plan entail? Well, for one, reassessing how to speak to voters and listen to them. But I guess they finally realized dead people's votes can only get you so far. They're also answering the tough policy questions like, should we be stricter on immigration? Which is like Trey Gowdy asking, should I change barbers? Kind of looks like a ballpoint pen. But it wouldn't be a complete rebuild without facing their biggest hurdle, men. Men are leaving the party like it's a game of strip poker with the cast of 60 Minutes. So the Dems have come up with a new $20 million project, Speaking with American Men. Well, good luck there, kids. Dems look at your average straight dude like he's a raccoon overturning their garbage cans. A nuisance at best, and only weirdos let one into the house. But for us, we don't need a plan to understand men. Figuring out what a man is easy. Protect my family, stop crime, and let me do my job. There, I did it for free. So they can't answer what is a man any more than they can answer what is a woman, because they go hand in hand, literally and figuratively. And Dems see both roles as oppressive. So let's state the obvious. A man is a creature literally built to defend his loved ones. But for the Dems, that's oppressive because it implies weapons and boundaries that cannot be crossed. Meanwhile, all of their soft-on-crime legislation penalizes that innate drive. No real man walks with his children by a drug-addled street without his fist clenched around his keys. I actually carry a Kill Me book with me. It drives people away like mace. A man also prides himself on work and achievement, but that means courage and risk, two traits redefined as toxic. The Dems mock a man who rescued astronauts from space and cheer for Katy Perry, the worst spaceship passenger since Alien. Then for men, there's women, and I mean real women. We love them. But even that simple fact is now undermined by Democrats who say that anything in a dress is a woman. At least that leaves out Hillary. No real man can stand this bull. And so the Dems are trying to appeal to some type of person that exists only in their head. And boy, that person must be really lonely in there. But that person that they define as a man isn't one at all. It's an emasculated figment. That's how you end up pushing a marshmallow like Tim Waltz as your epitome of manliness, when he's just a clump of fake virtues and effeminate tics. Even the media admits the Dems have lost the dudes. Here's Jake Tapper talking about his son.
My son is now 15 years old, and he's a gamer. He's a football fan, starting linebacker on his varsity football team. The Democratic Party has no way of communicating with him. They have no entree into his world.
That's good. I mean, the Dems have no idea how to communicate with a 15-year-old boy? That's supposed to be bad? No, the problem, Jake, is to think any party should be communicating with anyone at that age. It shouldn't just be perverts who get a restraining order from kids. It should be politicians and activists, too. Because that's where the problems start, when you politicize parts of life that should never, ever be politicized. So the Democrats want change, but they want to use a scalpel when they really need a wrecking ball. It's not simply that Dems turn off men because they're too moralizing. It's way bigger than that. No, it's that they believe men can have babies and women can have dicks. It's simple as that. I mean, men can pretty much put up with anything. We're not that political. We like cars, girls, and pizza. And this isn't what we want when we ask for beer nuts. And when we sense that we aren't wanted, like at the Democratic Party, we'll leave. But there's a line you can't cross. It's with our families. And once you cross it, it's going to be you who has to move. The problem for you, the only direction, is down. Let's welcome He's almost as white as the hood he wears at his secret meetings. Fox News contributor Tom Shalhoub. She's armed with facts and sharp as tacks. Financial analyst Heather Sabaraga. He inspired the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try refrigerator repair. Comedian Adam Hunter. And finally, she drinks Red Bull to calm down. Outnumbered co-host Emily Cabano. Tom, you're a man. Some might say a good man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not like an apex predator, an alpha male, but you're a man.
I am. I'm an alpha male, Greg. Where have you been?
Are you?
Yeah, and I know where the American man is at. I can't believe Democrats have trouble with men after that macho man Tim Walz.
Yes.
I even spent the money for his limited edition hat. Yeah, that was awesome, man. Make jazz hands great again. No, Democrats have been weenies ever since I've been a baby. I don't know where they act like this is a new problem for them. Let's go through the guys. McGovern, Jimmy Carter, Mondale, Dukakis. They've always been terrible. The only time they cracked into national politics was with two people, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Bill Clinton because he talked and acted like he was in a trailer park. And Barack Obama because white people voted for him because they would hope that people were going to shut up about race.
Right.
That didn't work.
No, in fact, it got worse.
It did.
Yeah, and as usual, you blame the black man. Heather, I apologize for you sitting next to this brother in the Aryan Brotherhood. It's kind of interesting to me that the Dems want to ask guys what they think, but they're not gonna like the answers because they already don't like guys.
Right. So you're looking for to solve the solution, like the New York Times, for example. They're running this series to try and figure out, you know, what we got wrong, what's going on with the rise of the GOP, but you can't figure it out with the same mentality that got you there in the first place.
Yes.
So how about, well, maybe not Tom, bring in working class, you know, hardworking, real macho men, you know, to get these solutions. And if you want to bring back voters, stop demonizing men. I mean, do you remember toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
Yes, we pointed that out. But if you think all men are inherently evil and bad, that's not how you're going to get the vote back. So spending $20 million on free. How about just stop bashing men, stop polarizing the country, and focus on the majority of the working class people?
But here's the problem. Emily. She says stop bashing men. They don't see it that way. To them, this is an ideology, and that what they see through their prism of oppression is that everything's a relationship of power. So men oppress women, whites oppress blacks. They're not going to be able, if they can't get rid of that, men are gone.
Which is also why they're viewing this through the lens of an anthropologist and a magnifying glass and a probe, rather than sitting down and actually talking with them. Remember during the prior administration, when they had to convene a council to ascertain about the shortage in baby formula. Like, well, why don't you just talk to parents? It's free. So I note, too, that in that article, in the same like assessment that the New York Times is running, they said, voters are hungry for people to stand up for them. Yeah, no. That's why the #1 answer when coming out of the primaries in the first state in Iowa for President Trump was that he stands up for people like me. And it is impossible, because it's so simple, it is impossible for these people who views men as truly subhuman, as a different specimen, a different, like, I have no idea what this is. They'll never get it right.
They have men who claim to be women higher up on the pyramid of importance.
Oh, of course, absolutely. That's the thing. And you know what? They're only forced to have real normal men as part of their equation now because of what happened.
Yeah.
If they weren't had their feet to the fire, they wouldn't even be spending $20 million on it to begin with.
Yeah, if they won in spite of men leaving, they would be like, see you later. Adam, you're a guy, because I know you live in your car.
Yes. A real man.
And you use the same pot that you make your beans in that you then use to panhandle with.
Yeah. No, I think you have to just, what I do now is I just lie. Like, my friends are like, why are you so broke? And I'm like, I had a huge gambling problem. And they're like, what'd you gamble on? I was like, success. But I think the problem is that I think it's not a Democrats. I think it's the far left hijacked the party, honestly. And I think that James Carville even said, like, James Carville, I'm just quoting him, but he said, like, the far left should be the pronoun party. Yeah. Which I think is a good idea, like the they Democrats. Yeah. But I also think that, you know, I think they need a real man to actually go there and speak for them, like Rosie O'Donnell. Who recently moved, you know, she moved to Ireland. And she single-handedly destroyed the luck of the Irish. But whatever they do, they just need to stop blaming Trump, because everything is just Trump, Trump, Trump. Like, I mean, they're blaming him for the $400 million jet. And like, I mean, what do you want him to do? If you didn't keep it, it would be the biggest waste of money on a jet since Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to go by that reaction that it was a sports joke. Aaron Rodgers plays for the Jets.
Yeah, well, he used to, and then he left.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Greg thought he was in West Side Story.
Yes.
When you're a jet all the way.
No, I thought Aaron Rodgers played Joni in Happy Days. What am I talking about? Anyway, we're done here.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.